Good morning to one and all. On behalf of Group 4, I'd like to welcome you to our video presentation on the story Orpheus. These are our members: Ehe, Elnar, Nies, Sinopelas, Saison, and Uymatiao. Without further ado, let us begin our video presentation. Join us as we discover more about the story Orpheus.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jezreel James A. and I was tasked to answer letter A or task A in the Orpheus activity. So, the three strengths of Orpheus that help him in his quest is his talent in playing the lyre, his musical expertise, and his determination for the love of his life. These three help him in his quest because the talent in playing his lyre, the musical expertise, led him to play really good music outside and make people amazed at his work, and which led to the easier access to things. When that time when he was actually trying to save Eurydice, the enemies, instead of being enemies to him, were really amazed at by his music. So they became and they fell in love with his expertise in music. And the third one is determination for the love of his life. This is basically saying that he was inspired, he had passion, he had a goal and aim in saving his love of his life, which was Eurydice. Now, in the three weaknesses of Orpheus, we have his lack of trust, his lack of patience, and not good in listening to instructions. He didn't trust what Hades said, and he wasn't really that patient when he called Eurydice's name. He should have called one more time instead of looking behind him. And is not good in listening to instructions, just like I said earlier. He didn't listen to what Hades said, and he didn't clearly remember what Hades told him, which was not to look behind him, or else Eurydice would have to go back to the underworld. He should slowly start trusting others' words and actually believing that not all people lie, and start surrounding himself with people who actually are trustworthy and tell the truth. And he should learn how to keep calm and learn how to take time instead of hurrying his decisions or making reckless and hasteful decisions. And he should have listened to what Hades said, again, instead of wasting a great opportunity to save Eurydice. Now moving on to Eurydice, strengths that helped her in her quest. Her obedience, her innocence, and her love for Orpheus. Her obedience and innocence helped her in the underworld when maybe she was tasked by the gods and goddesses to do such things, which made her stay there instead of getting removed by her existence, and which led her to have time to wait for Orpheus to save her. Now, her love for Orpheus is also a strength because that's what gave her the drive and the passion to do things. And her love for Orpheus is also a strength because Orpheus is a strong person. He has a very good in music, and he's her strength because having him beside her is really assuring of her safety. Now, Eurydice's weaknesses: we have her clumsiness, causing her to die of poison, her being inattentive, and her carelessness. So she should have been more careful on where she was walking to avoid stepping on things like snakes or other poisonous insects. And if she wasn't that clumsy, she would have noticed the snake right away and not stepping on it. And she should learn how to pay more attention to what others are saying to avoid such situations in where she would not hear what Orpheus is saying. Just like that time when Orpheus was calling her name, and if she paid more attention and if she was not being inattentive, then she would have heard what Orpheus was saying right away, and she should have answered to what Orpheus was saying instead of making Orpheus look behind him, which led to her going back to the underworld. Now, her carelessness. She should take care of herself more to avoid all of these life-threatening situations. She should take care of Orpheus more as well. And the way I look at her, she is a very careless wife, careless lover. She should slowly learn to give more care. If she took care more of her life, then She wouldn't have done things that could lead to her death. She wouldn't have gone to a place where a poisonous snake might be present, and she should have took care of Orpheus as well, and took care of her feelings as well, not just herself. If this was the case, then she would have not died in such a way. Thank you.
Characterization. We were tasked to provide 2 examples for Orpheus and Eurydice and 1 example for Hades and Persephone. For each type of characterization as found in the text and analyze how the lines have established the kind of character the characters have. For the character Orpheus, first example of direct characterization is Orpheus played his lyre so sweetly that he charmed all things on earth. The second one is he longed for Eurydice so deeply. Orpheus was a musically talented man and he loved a woman so hard that after her death, he wished to be with her again. The first example for indirect characterization is Orpheus continued to play his lyre tenderly as he made his way through the gloomy underworld. The second example is he said to himself, "No mortal has ever been there before, but I must try to bring back my beloved Eurydice." Orpheus is determined to see Eurydice again, so he did everything by following her to the underworld and asked the queen and king to bring her back. This means that he is brave and he would do everything for what he loves. For the character Eurydice, the first example of direct characterization is young woman named Eurydice. The second one is Eurydice stepped on a poisonous snake and died. Eurydice was just described to be a young woman that Orpheus loved so hard, so she must be very lovely for Orpheus to find her in the underworld after her death. The first example for indirect characterization is farewell. He heard her cry as she was carried back to the underworld. The second one is Eurydice had not heard him, and so she did not answer. Eurydice seeked to be with Orpheus again and silently followed behind him. But due to Orpheus's carelessness, the couple failed to be together again.
The next character is Hades. The statement that shows direct characterization that can be found in the story is that when stern Hades heard Orpheus' song, he began to weep. The attitude that this statement portrays is that Hades isn't known as a big softy. He is serious and strict, but Orpheus was able to break it by his song. While the statement that shows indirect characterization is when Hades replied, "I too feel the sadness of Orpheus. I cannot refuse him." And the attitude that this statement portrays is that Orpheus was able to break the coldness in Hades' heart and let him and Eurydice go. The last character is Persephone. The statement that shows direct characterization is cold Persephone was so moved that, for the first time in all her months in the underworld, her heart melted. This statement portrays the attitude that Persephone is a cold person, but just like what happened to Hades, she was moved by Orpheus' song. While the statement, "Oh peace, my husband," she said to Hades, "let Eurydice be reunited with Orpheus." This statement shows the attitude of being considerate because she let Orpheus and Eurydice meet again.
Good day, I'm Alexa Niaz and I will discuss the plot of Orpheus from Ancient Greece by Alice Lowe. The story starts in ancient Greek where there were 9 goddesses called Muses. One of the sisters that were the inspiration of poets and musicians was Calliope, the mother of Orpheus. Orpheus, born a mortal, is a musician and a poet who can charm people with his music that even rocks and trees followed him, and the rivers changed their directions to hear him play. In his journey, Orpheus then falls in love with a young woman whose name is Eurydice. They hope for happiness in their years together as a married couple. Unfortunately, after the wedding, she stepped on a deadly venomous snake that caused her death. He was devastated by her death and decided to follow his beloved to the underworld to be reunited. He charmed the river Styx, the ferryman of the river, and Cerberus, the fierce three-headed dog, with his song. He eventually passed through the gates of darkness and arrived at the palace of Hades and Persephone, where he played a gentle melody pleading for Eurydice. He successfully convinced Hades and Persephone with the condition to not look at her until they returned. As they were traveling back to the land of the living, he caught a glimpse of her, and instantly she disappeared, swallowed up by darkness. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Johanna Oy Matiao and I will be reporting on the resolution and ending of the story Orpheus. Resolution. Desperately, Orpheus tried to rush after Eurydice and follow her down, but he was not allowed. The gods did not allow him to go down to the land of the dead the second time, while he was still alive. How was this conflict or problem in the story solved? The conflict or problem in the story was not solved, because Orpheus was unable to bring Eurydice back. This was due to the gods not allowing him to bring Eurydice back for the second time. Ending. Orpheus wandered the earth alone. He sang sad songs to the rocks and the trees, and longed for the time when he too would die, and be reunited with his beloved Eurydice in the underworld. What happened to the main characters at the end of the story? At the end of the story, the main characters, Orpheus and Eurydice, were not reunited, because Orpheus lost his chance to bring Eurydice back. Orpheus became depressed, singing songs to the rocks and the trees, while Eurydice was always longing for him. Was the ending of the story completed or left hanging? The ending of the story was left hanging because the author of the story did not specify whether or not Orpheus and Eurydice had met again. Thank you.
In this meet, the writer wanted us to learn that we should cherish chances that are given to us. We shouldn't let our carelessness lose a chance that is given to us. Orpheus was given a chance to be with his beloved Eurydice with one condition from Hades, but due to his carelessness, he lost Eurydice again. The writer wanted us to know that every chance we have is important and we shouldn't take them for granted. If we lose this chance, we can't do anything anymore, like how Orpheus can take back Eurydice again because he looked back. Another lesson from this myth is that we should follow instructions or the condition given to us properly. If only Orpheus didn't turn and trust Eurydice, then they would have lived happily ever after. If he only followed the one condition Hades gave him, then he would live his lifetime with the love of his life. This could also teach us about the importance of trust in love. Orpheus truly loved Eurydice but didn't trust her enough. If he trusts her, then he won't look back to make sure she's following him. If he trusts her, he will continue walking even though she was quiet and didn't respond to his remark. Lastly, this myth taught us that even the strongest and coldest person has a soft spot. Just like how the strong-willed Hades and stone-hearted Persephone was moved by Orpheus' music and gave him a chance to take Eurydice with him again.
Thank you so much for sticking with us till the end of our video presentation. We hope you've learned something valuable from us. Bye! Thanks for watching. Click like and subscribe.